I was saying that 70 to 80% of the Communist Manifesto, roughly, has been put into effect by the Democrats and Republicans. Here are the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto. Number 1, abolition of property in land and the application of all rents of land to public purposes. The federal government now owns 30% of the land in the United States. It's not supposed to own any. Number 2, a heavy progressive or graduated income tax. Lord knows we have that. 3, abolition of all right of inheritance. Part of our right of inheritance is taken away by heavy taxes on inheritance. Let's see. 4, confiscation of the property of all immigrants and rebels. If you have $1 million, you can immediately become a citizen of this country, but not if you have very little money. Number 5, centralization of credit in the hands of the state by means of a national bank with state capital and an exclusive monopoly. Does this sound like a Federal Reserve System or what? 6, centralization of the means of communications and transport in the hands of the state. We have the Federal Communications Commission. We have Amtrak. We have Conrail. We have the Federal Aviation Administration. Number 7, extension of factories and instruments of production owned by the state to bringing into cultivation of wastelands and the improvement of the soil generally in accordance with the common plan. We have the Tennessee Valley Authority, which competes directly with private enterprise in such things as the fertilizer factories. 8, equal liability of all to labor, establishment of industrial armies, especially for agriculture. We have that in a sense with regard to the agricultural subsidies, which I've mentioned before. Agricultural subsidies make milk in this country about double the world's price and sugar about triple the world's price. 9, combination of agriculture with manufacturing industries, gradual abolition of the distinction between town and country by a more equitable distribution of population over the country. That is about the only one, I would say, that the federal government really hasn't been too much involved with. 10, and last, free education for all children in public schools, abolition of children's factory labor in its present form, combination of education with industrial production. Certainly that has been happening too, although it's not free. There's no such thing as free education any more than there is a free lunch. But all of these things have been put into, not all, but most of these have been put into effect, plus the fact that if I had a copy of it here, which I don't, the entire 1928 Socialist Party platform, which I have read, has in fact been put into in effect in this country.
But the key, we have to win, because if we don't win, this country's going the way of Russia. It's gonna. The question is, what we can do here is, how much worse does it have to get before people wake up?